And good morning. Welcome to week 27, day 7. Woo! Back to recording every day. And yeah, thanks peeps for watching. We're at approaching 2,100 views, which is cool. Thank you very much. And 20,000 plus minutes of watch time. 20,000 minutes. I don't know what that is, but that's somebody watching a lot of Urban Agoge if it was just one person. So yeah, thank you to everybody. And if you want to help support the channel, which I don't know what direction it's going in, this is just one person's attempt to fix their life, or at least make it feel more meaningful, because that's all we've got. And I've no real understanding of where it's going to go. So yes, still working towards putting the Fallout 4 alternative gameplay thing out. That the first episode out will be out hopefully on Friday. I'm going to spend the next 4 days trying to put together the rig that will do the recording. And if you like it, then maybe we'll do a live stream so you can enjoy and contribute while I'm playing. You can all play Fallout 4 in a Rangers type way. Yeah. So the world's still going to hell. No real change there. People in charge are, for some reason that I don't understand, not into being heroes. I imagine it's all it is a decision. You know. Oh, I finished the Utopia for Realists by that guy Rutger, guy from the Netherlands, and Rutger makes some very I mean, it's kind of the same thing we've all been saying, or we've all been thinking, well, you know what, if the people in charge weren't such massive dicks and they actually listened to some economic science and put things into perspective and decided, wouldn't it be cool if humans were cool? That's just too damn much to hope for. Yeah, it rained pretty heavily yesterday, so the river is a little angry today. Nods to Clint and his lucky rock. These are my unlucky rocks that keep getting shifted around, changing the shape of this river every goddamn day. Yeah. It's a cool thing. There are interesting things to do. You know what? I've never been down on this side of the river. It's not going to rain for the next couple of days, which is great news. So we could go down to this side of the river. I was thinking about this yesterday, but it was unpleasant. So yeah, it's not as easy to access. The morning mist has yet to clear, and yeah, today I don't want to do that. Maybe that's a spring thing when everything's dry, or a winter thing when the ground's frozen. Many more trip ups. So yeah, hopefully the sound quality is better than the last 2 days. Friday's sound quality was literally down to the placement of the microphone, which I fixed, and yesterday's sound quality was just because the river was so loud. And I do need to make a new windsock or dead hamster muffle for my microphone, because I lost it out here somewhere when I was recording. So yeah, so it's the end of British summertime, so we all got an extra hour today. I'm going to try and record a slightly longer video and get it up and running before I go to work. I'm due to work 12 till 10 today. It's such a boring job sometimes. I have to make it interesting for myself. So yeah, Kim suggested I look up an author and see if I can find any audiobooks. I'll let you know. Yeah, it's kind of cool having a job that requires so little of your brain power. You can do audiobook research as you work, and everybody looks down on this as a job. So yeah, reminds me of a documentary about rock musicians in Russia, when it turned out that the state was okay with people being musicians, but everybody had to have a productive job. So there were lots of boiler room attendants and people doing not mate work jobs, because you need those people around, but they realised that sometimes you just need people to push the big red button when it's required, and if people want to sit there playing guitar or drums or something while they're waiting for that red button moment, then that's fine. It's amazing that people don't get stuff to work because people are in charge. And wouldn't it be nice? I think we should hand over the whole thing to an AI and just say, look, a few of us were smart enough to build you, the AI, but the majority of us aren't smart enough to do what's right for the other people on planet Earth. You know, it's like Ruger says, you know, we pour all this money into free trade. You know, we try and encourage free trade, and that makes a few billion a year. But economists reckon that with open borders for people as well as goods, you'd do like the way this sort of curves up and goes back down again. But if the borders were open, it would be trillions of dollars moving around. You know, the world would just get wealthier, you know, and become more balanced and fair, you know, especially as automation progresses. But that's never going to happen. And, you know, I mean, before the First World War, passports weren't even a thing. You know, the idea that you might need a visa to travel to somewhere was considered pretty barbaric, and only super backward countries actually demanded visas and stuff, you know, paranoid countries that were themselves untrustworthy. You know, trillions of dollars a year. You know, so yeah, first thing for an AI to do is fix it all. You know, very much like Brexit. What pisses me off is that with Brexit is there's nothing to gain. It's like Americans building a wall, or as Trump would say, building a wall in Colorado, which isn't even on the border with Mexico. I mean, when somebody says that, when somebody can't recognise the importance of a job like President of the United States, it will take the United States decades to recover its international standing from Donald Trump. And I'm really sorry if you're in the United States, you know, that must be a burden to bear. Please know that I do not think that, you know, all Americans are dumb as horse shit. Some of the smartest people I know are American. You know, some of the most entertainingly interesting people I know are American. It's a bit like England. We've got Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, and we voted to leave the economic union of the EU that's prevented war in Europe for the longest period in history. You know, and we've got, you know, major players totally taking advantage of, you know, the UK's lapse in judgment and America's lapses in judgment. You know, You know, it really does say that anybody can be Prime Minister, even the most shady people. I don't really understand how some people get to be so shady. I mean, our economic system has got to be so rigged in favour of people that already have money, that even someone like Donald Trump can be considered like a success. Even Boris Johnson can be a financial success, when you think that that kind of mindless pettiness, a kind of schoolboy reaction to things, actually pays off. That's kind of terrifying. I mean, that's, you know, humans' response to other people's confidence is really pretty primitive. You know, I mean, shouldn't you be at least a certain level of intelligence? Shouldn't you, like, be able to pass like an MP exam, you know, or a Senate exam, or you know, to even be considered? I'm sorry, but you don't have to be the smartest person in the world, but you do have to be smart enough to listen to smarter people than you. You know, we've really forgotten. You know, I know it's a long, boring job, it's a struggle to be in charge and all that sort of shit, and I really don't want a hell of a lot of responsibility, and I can't take responsibility like that before, and I don't like it. I don't mind taking responsibility if people are at least intelligent enough to figure out what needs doing and then go do it. And I've been, let's go over here. Actually, no, let's take a slightly different route. And I've been, in inverted commas, in charge of people before, and I've always found it a very wearing sort of a thing to do. I don't enjoy it. But we've really dropped the ball with this whole thing. You know, and a lot of the people that have been with Rangers for a long time remember when we went and chatted with Occupy, who really didn't have an end goal in mind. You know, I think the problem with saying to people that, you know, their lifestyle needs to change is nobody ever bothers to say what to. You know, and people are incredibly selfish in the main. If you're going to take your gestalt, it's a good word, I don't get to use that very often, of humanity, you know, we seem to confuse our prime motivators, which are like, look after the tribe, you know, and ideally maintain good status within tribe. You know, if you were to look at that and say, right, okay, this is our main thing. We realise that we can't really concentrate on more than about 130 people at any given time. So our brain processing hands over and does this, my family, people that look like me. Forget that. Okay? But in doing so, we kind of surrender our autonomy to people that take advantage of that. You know, like the big lie about immigration. You know, so like the left-wing parties of the world say that we should allow immigration. But those left-wing parties are founded on workers' rights. And you would think that the logical response to that would be to protect the jobs of low-skilled workers in their countries, which would mean that they would be against immigration. And the right-wing parties, who are all paid for by donations from huge businesses, would be for immigration because it's lower paid labour, and that makes businesses more money. But they pretend the opposite. So there's no real problem with immigration, and there would be no problem with immigration if we hadn't totally destroyed entire infrastructure systems in other countries with resource wars. And make no mistake, that's what they were. Now, you know, the biggest cataclysm for people in the Middle East was the invasion of Iraq, which was followed by it is too noisy here, which was followed by, you know, the 9/11 bombings, and then the re-invasion of Iraq, and the envious looking across at Iran and Afghanistan, and then it all went to shit, despite the fact that the bombers that were identified, and I put that in inverted commas because nobody's ever going to really know. You know, what we do know is nearly 3,000 people lost their lives in a truly terrible disaster. Nobody's, you know, it wasn't that much of an inside job. 3,000 people still had to die on September the 11th, 2001, which was a tragedy, and, you know, nobody with any intelligence is ever going to deny that. But we can't really know the motivations. But those people that were identified had Saudi passports. We didn't immediately nuke, you know, the Western world. When I say we, the Middle East wasn't immediately attacked. You know, so it's, you know, the Iraq wars and Afghanistan, those things are still going on, and they will go on for decades now, because that's how dicking about in the Middle East works. You know, and you basically bring about this hardcore caliphate sort of mentality. You know, the Muslim world is just never going to have the numbers or the political clout or the military clout to take over the world in a way that it wants. Just never going to happen. You know, and if you did try and bring in Sharia law in this country, people would resist it. There would be an uprising against it. It would be taken out, as it would in America. And it's never helped by people that, you know, that claim that Islam is going to rule the world. It never is. One, because it's incredibly restrictive, and we can't even get people to restrict their lifestyles in order to save the planet. So that's not going to happen. And two, you know, they've got, very openly, they have the death penalty for apostasy, which is like, if you become a Muslim and then you decide not to be a Muslim anymore, they kill you. So, and there's no dressing that up. You know, you could say that America has the death penalty, yes, for child murderers and serial rapists and serial murderers and shit like that, people that have actually done something to other people. You know, yes, there is the death penalty, but not for just someone that goes, I'm sorry, I don't believe the same shit as you. So that's where, you know, there's a lot of laudable things about Islam. There's a lot of laudable things about Christianity. You know, and the mad thing is that apostasy from Christianity, you know, in the Old Testament, which is the Talmud, is also stoning to death if you decide not to be that. But a lot of people have moved on. Just Islam hasn't had that time to get its shit together yet. You know, most of it, like all religions, most of it fits in with how people already want to be. That's why it's so popular. Us, them, you know, that sort of thing, going to heaven or going to hell. People that have been shown the way of Islam that then don't decide to take them up on the offer, go to hell. You know, all very comforting if you need that sort of comfort. But yeah, I mean, you have to be an A-grade philosopher to really figure out what being God might be like. I don't think I'm that smart. But yeah, it comes from a time when, you know, religion was science. Religion and science went hand in hand for a very long time. And science doesn't know everything yet. It may never know everything. It's an infinite universe. But murdering people because they think about God or a supreme being differently is pretty short-sighted. People are wealth if you give them the chance to be. It's always a climb. Yeah. So yeah, the world's a weird place. I don't understand. I mean, you know, I would like to help save the planet, but there doesn't seem to be a good blueprint. I haven't been on a plane in 20 years, maybe a little bit more, at least 24 years. I haven't been out of the country in that long, which is depressing. Wouldn't it be fun to travel like Henry Rollins does? Just go to the weirdest places in the world and say, "Hi, I'm Henry." Don't agree with Henry Rollins on everything, but he's a smart guy. Tries not to have too much of a negative impact on the world. But, you know, every time somebody whips up small-minded fervour, and it's easy to be hustled along by jingoistic rubbish. It's easy. You know, you just switch off your brain and let someone tell you that your job's in danger, your children are in danger, other ideologies are going to come and take over everything that you hold dear. In fact, that you probably don't hold dear. You just want everybody else to hold it dear, so you can get on with your life. And everybody that's listening to that has got something that disagrees with the person next to them. So they're always terrified of the person next to them figuring out the strange thing about them that doesn't fit in with the ideology, because humans are all infinitely different. You know, the right-wing guy that's, you know, sitting in the audience that's had homosexual fantasies, the person with body dysphoria that's sitting in the Trump audience that's trying to forget that they don't really feel like they're in the right body, the person that doesn't quite believe that everything is black and white but is in the audience and is now terrified. I've been there. You know, I was in the audience when Billy Graham, the right-wing televangelist, came to my country, and I went and I saw him basically acting like Hitler at Nuremberg. And my friend who was sat next to me was saying, "Do you want to go up and give your life to Jesus, Zach?" And I didn't. But I was also very, very aware of the dangerous position I was in. It was like being Jewish at Nuremberg, or having Jewish relatives. Are you going to denounce the Jews, Zach? Going to denounce everything that this guy doesn't agree with? You're going to hand over all your power and all your thought to this guy who claims that he definitely knows that there's a God? Maybe all the people that believe in God are secretly terrified that there isn't a God. You know? So yeah, scary stuff. Maybe everybody in those audiences is a little bit different and terrified of the person next to them finding out. And in that fervour, in that desperation where everybody's terrified and desperate to be the same as everybody else because it's easier and it's more comforting that way. But wouldn't it be more comforting knowing that people had a basic idea of what constituted decent behaviour and everybody agreed? And I think that's what, you know, kicks off a lot of sociopathic people. And certainly the ones that I've met, you know, the really dangerous sort of sociopaths, are kind of angry that it isn't straightforward, that there aren't basic rules or basic agreements of social interaction. You know, all the really truly dangerous people I've ever met realise that people are full of shit when they talk about these simple rules that are always for other people and denigrate people and make people feel different and other and threaten to put people to death for the slightest difference. Differences that don't even matter. You know? Humanity's pretty ignorant in the main. Let's go back. But yeah, no wonder, you know, there are people that can't explain why they feel that this is all wrong and don't feel that they have any control, is it any wonder those people really start to hate humanity and have no way of explaining it? Yeah. When we could be doing Star Trek. So yeah, but in order to get there we need to show what that's like, you know. We need to be techno-capable Amish, you know, doing no harm, helping the planet generally, and giving the planet a net offset, you know, generating sustainable power, producing stuff through low cost and recycling materials, you know. And that's what I want to show with my Fallout playthrough, really. I want to do we will value people right up until one of them with a gun points it at one of our people, which is going to happen because it's Fallout. But, you know, in an ideal world, you'd be able to absorb the raiders. You'd possibly be able to talk to the Brotherhood of Steel and make them not be such fascist dicks. You'd be able to convince the Institute to share its technology, and you'd be able to unite everybody because humanity has become just that bit more precious. Yeah? Maybe we could do that. Maybe somebody needs to write a patch where that's an option, and we'll use it as human decency training. Maybe if you realise that there were lots of options, but we need to provide space for that to feel like it's real, you know. Maybe we need to build a fortress monastery, or maybe we need to start with one suburban house that didn't want to play anymore. I mean, it'd be nice if it was a large house in the country that could provide its own well water and, you know, electricity and stuff like that, and everybody could dial it the fuck back. Maybe. That would be nice. That would be a good thing. However, it's like a chicken and egg situation, you know, sort of like if one of us was super wealthy, then they'd be able to enact that on our behalf. But the trouble is, wealthy people don't want to do that because it threatens their wealth, you know. Yeah. What a fucking waste of time. But yeah, maybe I can build a solar array and a wind array, spend a couple of £100, spend another couple of £100 on batteries, build myself an electric vehicle that's solar powered and wind powered and shit. Maybe I can. Maybe I can build a garden that grows some of my food. Maybe I can go vegan. It's all a maybe. But I feel like I'm dragging a huge weight uphill. What is my purpose? But yeah, so we'll try and do something worthwhile. So that's all from me this morning, using my extra hour as we move into British winter time, and hopefully you've enjoyed me rambling on. And as always, thank you for watching. Do take care.